Good afternoon, I'm Shane Masters with your midday news in 5. A special welcome if you're watching on onesportmedia.com. The Jamaica Agricultural Society, JAS, is calling for the country's land policy to be updated. It follows the death of 3 individuals in Westmoreland by stray cattle. President of the society, Linworth Fulton, says the incidence of animals roaming free is due to a shortage of land for livestock owners. He believes once that is addressed, the problem will be significantly reduced.
The land policy that government has favors people who are doing vegetable and cash crop. It doesn't favor people who are doing poultry crop and livestock. We need to look into SCJ holdings and look into AIC, Agro-Invest Corporation, and so on, and make some significant changes there. And we need to look at these things. These are crown land. They belong to the people.
The JAS president says there is another concern, though, as farmers send requests to the Sugar Corporation of Jamaica Holdings, SCJ, to lease lands, but it sometimes takes years to get a response. And when approval does come, the cost to lease the land is exorbitant. It's something he says the Agriculture Ministry must also look into. In the meantime, Mr. Fulton says there should not be a long wait period in having the land policy updated.
I think the reform could take place in a year. Maybe it needs a new policy position that everybody will have to adhere to. Coming from the cabinet, so I would expect him to discuss this with the Prime Minister and his cabinet colleagues. And for what it's worth, we need cattle farmers.
An independent electoral review committee has been set up to oversee the leadership elections of the Jamaica Agricultural Society, JAS. The committee will be reviewing the processes involved in conducting the annual general meeting and the election process to ensure a seamless transition of leadership. In a TVJ News follow-up, the woman who got burnt in the firebombing incident along Walker's Avenue in Gregory Park, St. Catherine, has died. She has been identified as Nayamoy Gokul. Now, we'll have more on this story in subsequent newscasts. Local Government Minister Desmond McKenzie says plans are underway to have the St. Anne Infirmary relocated. He says the current location in Priory in the parish is not suitable. Mr. McKenzie says it is located close to the sea, which could be detrimental when the area is affected by adverse weather conditions.
Discussions are far advanced. We have identified lands, and once we have agreed with my colleague Minister Babsy Grange, once we agree on that, we can say with some level of certainty that a new infirmary for the parish of St. Anne will be constructed.
Now, he was speaking at the opening of a night shelter in Otrius recently. In business news, the Bank of Jamaica has given an update on the faulty banknotes which some members of the public have received. Division Chief for Banking and Currency Operations at the BOJ, Chevenice Murray, says protocols are being put in place to reduce the likelihood of future issues.
Today, there have only been 5 faulty notes. Out 5 faulty notes, and if you compare that with what is in circulation now, that's just about 0%. We scale it relative to the number of pieces of notes that are currently in circulation. That's almost 0%.
And the time now for the top international stories.
Thailand's parliament on Tuesday voted for Seta Thavisin to be the country's next prime minister, bringing an end to 3 months of political deadlock. The new prime minister received 482 votes out of a possible 747 in Thailand's bicameral parliament. And an urgent rescue effort got underway in Pakistan this morning for 6 children and 2 adults trapped in a chairlift dangling 900 feet over a mountainous region in the country's northwest. The children were traveling to school when one of the chairlift's cables snapped. And those were the top international stories. I'm Hal Shaneberg.
In sports, 6 Jamaicans will be featured in the semifinals of their respective events on day 4 of the World Athletics Championships in Budapest, Hungary. Jordan Fort reports.
Rochelle Clayton lines up in semi-final 1 of the women's 400-meter hurdles at 1:25 p.m, with Andronette Knight going in semi-final 2 at 1:34 p.m, and Genevieve Russell going in semi-final 3 at 1:43. Antonio Watson is next up from a Jamaican perspective, as he lines up in the first of 3 semi-finals for the 400 metres for men at 2 p.m. He'll go up against the likes of world record holder and former Olympic champion Wade van Niekerk. Zandrian Barnes contests semi-final 2 at 2:08 p.m. and will have the likes of former world and Olympic champion Kirani James to contend with. Sean Bailey is the final Jamaican in action on the day as he contests the third and final semi-final of the men's 400 at 2:16 p.m. Reigning world champion Stephen Gardner will be the favourite for that semi-final.
That report from Jordan Fort. And just to note, no Jamaicans will be featured in finals today on day 4 of the World Championships in Budapest, Hungary. And that's the Midday News. I'm Shane Masters. Joining us at 7 for Primetime News. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, have a good afternoon.